As I'm sitting here in the tractor, I have the chance to reflect on all the other farming operations that Grant and I have had the chance to tour and really experience firsthand. And what's so incredible about farming is at the end of the day, we're all doing the same thing, right? We are trying to raise a crop and sell it for a good price, enough that we can pay off all of our expenses and then farm again the next year. Whether that is corn or cotton or edible beans or whatever you're growing, that is the goal. But there's so many different methods to achieve that end result, and it is so location dependent. It depends on what kind of equipment you have access to. What are your field sizes? What have your ancestors done? Do you have irrigation? What kind of soil type do you have? What crop are you growing? And so while this works best for us, this might not work on a farm in Australia. And being able to go down to Australia and see how they farm down there was so interesting, because I definitely felt like there were some things that Grant and I could take back and use on our own farms. But there was other things where I thought, my goodness, this definitely would not work for us. Everything is so customizable. I just drove through the spot in the draw where Grant got the 40 Tony stuck last harvest. Remember that? That was a mess. I think we are still cleaning mud out of those wheel wells. Speaking of remnants of harvest, I think this is left over from the old combine. If you look over my shoulder, that's a sneak peek of the next tractor job that's to come. Well, what do you think so far? Have you broken out your snacks yet? I think I'm gonna break into my water supply. Do we think Grant has gotten that pivot moving yet? Sometimes as I'm sitting here, I start to feel a little scared because of how much I do not have any control over so many of the things in my life. I have no control over the diesel costs, but I also have no control over how much corn and soybeans are worth. It's not like a typical market where once I produce a product, I can set my price and then bake in all of those factors of, wow, okay, you know, diesel fuel went up this amount and I'll just increase the cost of corn this amount. It just doesn't really work like that. I have to take whatever market price diesel is, but then also whatever market price corn and soybeans are. And that can feel a little overwhelming sometimes. All I have control over is how efficiently I raise my crop. So if corn prices aren't doing so great, I better be able to raise more corn than I did last year, so I have more of a crop to sell. And so I'm sitting here just figuring out, what are the little ways that I can improve my crop? How can I be a better farmer, a better irrigator, a better grain marketer? Because when it comes down to it, I have to choose when to sell my crops. Do I want to sell some now? Do I want to wait until maybe midsummer? Do I want to wait until harvest to set my price? When do I want to haul corn? When do I want to be delivering it? Do I want to deliver it all during harvest? Because in the past, I've had some trucking/logistics issues. Or do I want to maybe store it in the bins over the winter time and slowly haul it in the winter, or maybe early spring? I know that's a lot, but those are just a few of the things that are running through my mind as I'm sitting here. I suppose that's why farmers form such tight-knit communities, because you know that we're all going through the same thing, and there's kind of this sense of camaraderie, and we're all in the same boat, and that's comforting somehow. Like, at least I'm not alone. That is one of the reasons why I'm so grateful I have you watching these videos and being a part of our everyday farming journey here in Nebraska, because I feel like over the past 6 years, you've gotten to know me and Grant and my family really, really well. And I think you can empathize with what we're going through, and you've just gotten really, really familiar. And so I hope you know how much I appreciate talking to you, and you make me feel not so alone. So the next time you're at the gas pumps and you're filling up and you're wincing at the price, just know I'm doing the same thing here on the farm. Turns out the pivot is really not moving at all. So we need to go fix that before we can continue running the tractor. All right, let's see what we're working with here. I think I found our problem why the pivot isn't moving. Do you notice something odd right here? That should be a tire track, not smooth. I think we've got a bad gearbox out here. Plot point number 2. Okay, this is a drive shaft. That is not supposed to wiggle like that. We've got a snapped off old U-joint there, which means that that gearbox is bad. And this one was trying so hard to turn it, ended up breaking this one too. So before we can get back in the tractor, we've got some repairs we need to do. Usually I pick these things up by myself to prove to Grant that I am strong, but I think I'm going to accept his help today.
You want the heavy end or the heavy end?
How about you take the heavy end? I'll take the heavy end.
Okay.
Oh, wow, this is actually so much easier when there's 2 people. While I never like to see pivot breakdowns, they're kind of the worst and they always happen at the most inconvenient times. It's times like this where I'm so grateful to be partnered up with a company like UMC, because they ensure that we never run out of replacement pivot parts. And so far over the last, 3 or 4 years, every part that we have replaced with something new from UMC, we haven't ever had a problem with. Grant and I have changed more than our fair share of gearboxes, center drives, and pivot tires together. That being said, we kind of have it down to a science. First step is to take off the infected tire, move it to the side, remove the gearbox, replace the old gearbox with the new gearbox, put the new U-joints on, put the tire back on, and make sure everything is torqued to spec. AKA just zap it down until we can't stand the sound of the impact anymore. And of course, before we can do any of that, we've got to use one of the more dangerous tools on the farm, which is our handyman jack. That's what we use to actually lift the tire up off the ground and then let the pivot down when we're done. 54-inch farm jack, getting this tire up off the ground. All things considered, can't really complain about this because I don't think we will ever get a nicer day or better conditions to be dealing with this.
Get the tray. I said that was worth $5 today.
Yeah? I've got pink gloves today.
Oh, man, I really screwed up.
Is the thing on the thing?
I can make it in there.
That's tough.
Yeah.
This is the first pivot repair of 2026. We're a little bit rusty.
That gearbox is a little rusty.
Yeah. I'm curious to see what the state of this U-joint is. I can't imagine it's very nice. With the old and with the new.
No way. Look, there's no plug in it. That's why I went out.
I think we found our problem. Here's the old one. No plug. So all our gear oil just drained right out.
The new one's got a plug in the
New
bottom.
one. It's a very important part of how a gearbox works. The whole thing is kind of keeping the oil inside. We pulled off the old gearbox and easily replaced it with a new UMC one. They make gearboxes for pretty much every pivot setup, which makes this a really easy swap. One of the things I really like is how straightforward everything is to install, especially when you pair the gearbox with their CX couplers, U-joints. They come pre-assembled and only take one tool to install. Once we get this all bolted back up and get the wheel back on, we will be good to go and ready to move the pivot again. Look at that shiny new gearbox, all hooked up with the new U-joint.
That might have been the smoothest gearbox change ever. It's so nice when you're working with brand new parts, just slap it all together and it works.
It's great when you get to use the tools that you have and everything just slides together nicely. Which would be the opposite of what this U-joint is. That thing is crusty, dusty, rusty, broke apart, and now we get to put a new one on. There's a link in the description below for more information, and we are so grateful for UMC's continued support of the channel and our farm.
As a kid, when we were out here doing this, Dad would always save all these little bolts. I mean, like, these things cost money, and we'd reuse them from one pivot to the next. And we have a little bucket full of them. They're all rusty and full of mud, but these things are so much better. It's just big bolts, and you don't even have to have a wrench on one side. These CX couplers are where it's at. If you work on pivots, you need these.
Now, hopefully this fixes our pivot problem and we can actually get this thing to move and get back to work in the tractor.
Even our pumps run on diesel. This is how we pump water on our field. Here's a big diesel tank. Low sulfur diesel. Luckily, I filled this thing up after irrigation season last year, so it's all full. Right now, I'm just moving the pivot out of Laura's way. This big irrigation machine runs on electricity generated by that diesel engine. And as you can see, Laura is making her way up to the pivot, so we need to get it out of the way.
All right, we're looking for movement here. Let me know if you see anything. Yay, it's moving! That is great for the program. Now we can get back to work in the tractor and finish this field. And there's the proof of our fix. Going strong. Shouldn't ever have to come back out here. The pivot is out of our way enough. We can finally get back to it and finish up this field. Going to idle up, make sure our auto steer is still on. It has warmed up considerably outside. It's turned into a nice hot day. I wonder what the summer weather is going to be like for us here in Nebraska. Get all lined up, and it is time to get back to it after that unplanned delay there. Is that not farming though? Unplanned delays? Let's get some dust flying behind us. Much better. I'm definitely looking ahead of me to make sure there's no obstacles or things I'm going to hit in my way. I'm looking, I'd say behind me, but mostly side to side to make sure I haven't plugged up. Can't really see much out that side. And then as we come through this draw, I'm sure to slow down so I don't slam the implement through it. And then speed back up as we're going up the hill. Whew! Can really feel the tractor start to idle up when I do that. Of course, keeping an eye on my monitor here, making sure we don't have any codes that are thrown, making sure everything's operating in normal range. Not a bad way to spend an afternoon. I can't complain, especially now that the pivot's out of the way. I love watching the springs work on each of the units. They are just in constant little motion back there. We actually have quite a few Orthman products, and it is just so evident how much thought they put into their implements. They're really impressive. I was looking ahead and noticed a particularly thick line of soybean stalks, and so I figured I better stop and just look behind me because the dust was swirling so bad. And what do you know? A plug. That's not good. I think just an extra amount of stubble. See where we were dragging. I'm gonna have to take care of that. I bet the combine plugged up here too, and so it was just pushing all these stalks over. This is definitely going to cause us some problems. Yet another reason why harvest and planting are so important, because we keep farming the same fields over and over and over. So if you make a mistake in one season, usually follows you around to all the rest. Starting to slowly see the gaps filled in. We are almost done with this job in this field. I'm not really sure where this came from, but would hate to run over that with the planter. That's a big log. Setup is looking pretty good. Still rolling right along. Speaking of diesel prices and the fact that not only our tractors and just about everything we deal with every single day runs on diesel, our pivots run on diesel too. And it looks like Grant shut it off already for me. So that was really nice of him. Well, needs to shut off, not burning anymore. All that's left is to do the end rows and this field will be done. We got the field done, made it back to the shop, and now tractor is due for an oil change before our next job. While diesel prices are steadily increasing every single day and there's really nothing we can do about it, the farm must go on. We really have no choice but to pay those prices and do our best to grow the best crop that we can with what we're given. And right now that's high diesel prices. And unfortunately, farmers aren't the only one who are facing these costs. It's everybody else too. It's truckers, it's you shopping at the grocery store, trying to fill up your car. But I just wanted to say that here on the farm, we're going to keep doing our best and I hope that you do too. We are so grateful for your continued support of us here on the farm and really enjoy spending time with you. So hope you have a wonderful day. I'm so glad the weather is warming up. I hope you are enjoying your spring and we will see you in the next one. Bye.